Ladies and gentlemen, Mount Show with Daniel Kaygermazov is on the air. Good evening, here's Mount Show with me, Daniel Kaygermazov. If you ask why we are called Mount Show, we can simply answer just because it's better seen from the mountains. As we usually do, we are starting with the issues from abroad. Which one is better to start with? Actually, it doesn't matter, all of them will be a good fit. According to the Deputy National Security Advisor for US President Ben Rhodes, Russia's decision not to participate in the Washington Summit on Nuclear Security was called self-isolation. They are out of depth. How can we isolate ourselves when every week American and European workers go under our iron curtain? Don't go under our iron curtain, as we are going to isolate ourselves from the world. They'll breathe the air as they want. Jays from abroad. Mr. Rhodes, we aren't isolating, we just let you go hang with your summit. Did you understand? We just told you to jump in the lake, sorry? We don't take part in the summit organized by the US president. The most interesting thing is here the agenda. When we asked about it, there was no clear information. Even the list of participants was also unknown. We don't go there. If they want to talk to us, it's better Mr. Kerry to come with his famous suitcase. The Baltic states and the Ukraine seem to be in the list of the participants. Great nuclear powers. Kim Jong-un could be a good fit. He definitely has something to say on this issue. If Mr. Poroshenko decided to visit the summit, he'd better talk about the damned experiments on nuclear plants of the independent Ukraine. Given that Europe should be afraid of the second Chernobyl, which can make unhealthy atmosphere. At any rate, we never participate in total craps, especially when we have alternatives. There is a meeting on the nuclear security under auspices of the UN and IAEA in 2 months, which has a clear agenda. We'll go there. I'd like to create a new meme named Dear White House, Go to Hell, and use it every time when Washington waffles. Next. Former New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani said that the candidate from the Democratic Party to the post of the US President, Ms. Clinton, could be considered a founding member of ISIS. Holy cats! Epic fail! Hellish lady was on her way to the top. My aunt, on the other hand, why not? An ISIS representative takes the post of the US President. Finally, real things will be reflected on papers. She must get the next Nobel Prize for Peace. By the way, I started noticing that the US politicians say true things only being resigned. Dear Mr. Ex-Mayor, go on making the party more exciting. If Ms. Clinton is a founding member of ISIS, a hawkish McCain must be the main shareholder of the terrorist group which could compete with Apple in sense of popularity. Dear Americans, vote for Mr. Trump. The party is supposed to go on with him. Anyway, Bill is guilty for this mess. Why did you flirt with Monica? Look, what did you do with Hillary? She has become a there-is-nobody home woman, something like damned Frankenstein. Given that, could a normal lady be happy with the killing of Mr. Gaddafi? A cuckold female president can promote a disastrous nuclear war. Special Operations Rabbit Forces, the Pentagon decided to evacuate the US military family members and their pets from Turkey. This decision was announced just before Erdogan's visit to the USA. According to the US Pentagon Press Secretary Peter Cook, the evacuation decision was made because of the ongoing threats concerning possible ISIS attacks. The US authorities also said not only military members but also their pets, including the rabbits, are going to be removed. Samper Yatsenyuk, did you hear it? You are going to be removed. It must be the only good news for Mr. Yatsenyuk for a recent period of time. He might breathe a sigh of relief. Poor Erdogan, he seems to be less important than rabbits, so that is why he's dined. It's happening just before his visit to the USA. It runs in the American government. They call them friends after all this. For example, Poroshenko. Americans, spit it out. You seem to know more. It sounds so epic when NATO cannot secure itself in a NATO state. Guys, are you really militarists? You seem to be cool guys only when the matter is about diggers, especially when there are two. Dudes, are you like rats leaving a sinking ship? Americans always feel a sense of trouble with their bums. There are no equal partners in this kind of situations. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's security squabbled with American protesters. They attempted to stop the protesters in a weird way. The security guard tried to thunder down the noise of the protesters singing louder. What the hell is going on? Erdogan's new ways of coping with demonstrators. If you put the jackass guard instead of bodyguards, nothing will change. By the way, the singing seems to be a voice of a dying hyena. Editors overestimated it, calling it singing. If we translate it into human language, it might mean something like, the Ottoman Empire is still alive. There is no wonder, as the Turkish authorities recently behaved as if they were proto-Yukis. Actually, I see a great potential for a superstar band. Miss Clinton and Mr. Saakashvili and the President Erdogan could sing in a band in the Eurovision Song Contest. For example, like this. Okay, let's go on, up to our borders. The proto-Yukis do not allow us to relax even here. Every day they express new stupid ideas, for example, like this. Mr. Poroshenko proposed to claim money for the Russian satellite spying. The petition to issue invoices for flights of the Russian space satellites over the Ukraine was published on the website of the president. The author of the idea proposes to destroy the satellites for being trafficking if Moscow refuses to pay. The petition is on the website and everyone has an access to vote for it. Dear followers of the great Yukis, recently you seem to belong to the small fry. Your ancestors would never accept it. You should rise above all this. All the space of a new Ukraine belongs to you and only to you. A foolish behavior of the Yukis turns into another level, going out of the atmosphere. Do you have anything to shoot down satellites? You shouldn't stop. You should go on issuing invoices for the wind blowing from our side. Of course, you don't let your wind enter our territorial and air borders. Just to avoid an order, Mr. Poroshenko, stop making fun at yourself. Ukrainian media. A division of elves are being made in the People Republic of Donetsk. A new sabotage reconnaissance group may be created among militiamen in Gorlovka and Donetsk. They say, among others, elves will be included to the group, a volunteer Alexander Chernov said. Holy fucking Luya, the most expected support will join Buratian diving armored hoofed air forces. Thumbs down for the Ukraine. There aren't just elves, there are gnomes and hobbits. It's so pity that Tolkien left us so early. If he could see what was going on in the lands of Yukis, he could write something better than The Lord of Rings, calling a new book A Fellowship of Glass, the band, and the Yuki media. We will wait for the Ukrainian news about armored dragons and Gulivers in Donetsk. I can imagine the new headlines in the Yuki media like this: Armored Elf gave us a spanking. As I have already said, every fifth Yuki journalist is crazy to the same extent as the rest four. Next. Saakashvili's new language is not identified. His attempts to organize press conference in Ukrainian language has failed. The Georgian governor of Odessa region was unclear. I couldn't wear my favorite hero. I couldn't make out a word from his Yuki speech. What was that? Take and one more time take. It sounds as if he calls cocks to feed them. We can guess that he is going to release his own album of songs called of cookie, cows and sheep. Who said the language is unclear? You don't understand the language as we do. 140 years ago, it was a language of proto-Yukis, or even better, ancient Yukis. So he is not to blame for anything. The only person who understands him in a proper way is Mr. Klitschko, known as his own language speaker. You'd better not laugh. Ukrainian language is the most difficult language in the world. That is why 90% of Ukrainians fail to speak it. He tries his best. I think I wasn't right supposing that he takes some pills. Now I have another vision of the situation. He might be fallen into a coca hot tub in his childhood, as in Obelix's case. You are as high as a kite. I can't explain the bullshit you're doing in another way. Next. Okay, basta making fun at foreigners. We have our own guys who are even better than these foreigners. Let's turn home. Here is Russian news. Rosavtodor, a governmental organization responsible for the roads, found disadvantages of well-built roads. They said well-built roads led to the frequent car accidents. In its annual report, the organization expressed Well-built roads may damage us improper, Itata says. As it is known, Russia has two problems, roads and foolish guys. It seems that the latter talks about the first ones. This is a great logic. How could we live without it before? Bravo! Let's try to interpret the situation. Rosaftodor says, pay your taxes and get up yours. Let's destroy all the roads in the country and use cow carts. I point out, cow carts, no horses. We shouldn't run a risk. It will be definitely safer. We will send letters using carrier pigeons. Why do they extort money from long-distance trackers? They follow your logic, making our roads safer. Guys, are you okay there? You are ready to make weird proposals not to build the roads. You are becoming shit-eating. Well-built roads led to frequent car accidents. It's so pity that we will never get the proof, as they never built roads well. Hey guys, what's wrong in your heads? It's enough to waffle. Go to hell. Don't take us to idiots. If international organizations make such requests, Russia is ready to join those who will rebuild Syrian Palmyra. On the 28th of March, the Vice Premier Olga Golodets says during the press conference, RIA Novosti says, Dear Miss Golodets, I wonder who pays? Don't answer. It was a rhetoric question. I wonder how open-handed we are. It seems to be a particularity of Russians. We always help those who are in need, even if we are in need. It sounds like a poem. We'll build pipelines to Palmyra for our taxes. There is nothing to build in Russia. We have reached the happiest communist future. We don't stand against reconstructions of monuments. However, I wonder if Miss Golodets knows how many Palmyras we have in Russia. We always write off debts, all countries, for example, as we did for Mongolia, writing off $174 million debt. I'd like to ask to write off debts for Russian too. Is it possible? Oh, maybe you should rebuild Palmyra for your own money. We will join you when we get a welfare. The authorities will compensate the losses, including 49 hens died after the fighter aircraft crashed down. The plane crashed down on March near airport Chernigivka. The pilot could eject from the aircraft. Nobody died. The owner of the yard, Alexander Chervak, estimated the damage in 3 million rubles. According to him, the aircraft destroyed his garage, barn and vault, where he had product reserves. Alexander could save his car from the burning garage. Unfortunately, the birds were not lucky. There were 50 hens in the barn. 49 of them burned. The only one could run out. First, nobody died for God's sake. Nobody got injured except for hens. We have great fighter aircrafts. Even without bombs, they can destroy tiny gulls. 98% of accuracy. The rest 2% of inaccuracy includes the owner of the yard and his only alive hen. It will be no surprise for me if the chicken, being shot, starts giving interviews. The chicken deserves Oscar as DiCaprio does. It is also the Revenant. The owner knows beans. He issued a 3 million invoice for the damage. If I get 3 million, I'm ready to allow to destroy my old barn whenever the fighter aircrafts wish. Was your barn built from ancient marbles? It's right to fight for your rights. Why Ms. Vasilyeva can get money, but an elder can't? He should also claim money for non-pecuniary damage. Of course he should, given that such a jackpot has fallen to his yard. It will be a teaching lesson for military men who will check the fighter aircrafts before flying in a proper way. Next, a sterility tax could be imposed in Russia. Nikita Khrushchevsky, an economist, proposed to impose taxes on childless people in Russia. According to him, such measure could add 1 trillion rubles to the budget. Some people seem to lose minds. I can't imagine so many advertisements on lampposts offering sterility certificates. I'll sell a sterility certificate costs expensive. Khrushchevsky is a well-known economist, as his anti-crisis measures show. He has outperformed even lawmakers. Such ideas haven't even come to minds of our lawmakers. I suppose next legislative initiatives should be to accept laws forbidding poverty and stupidity. The latter is related to different advisors, lawmakers and officials whom we have plentifully. It could be a good measure to write from knees. Dear Khrushchevsky, I understand that the brain is gone. However, try to understand that people don't want to give birth just because they are not provided properly. When you can provide people in a proper way, then make your stupid advices. Nevertheless, I'm sure if you do this, the advices will be unnecessary. The birth rate will seem to be fabulous. Anyway, you can impose a tax on oligarchs. It will provide our budget with trillions of dollars. Well, that's it. If you liked it, please join us on YouTube and Facebook, where we always publish information on next programs in advance. And don't forget to click the like button. The program was translated by Ramazan Al-Poet. Good luck.